Welcome in everybody to the TK Pod. My name is Tyler Kluver. I was once a Division I football player. I am now a podcaster, fitness coach, and CrossFit athlete, doing all of that as a husband and father of two. This show is an audio journal, a spot for me to vent or ramble about thoughts I have relating to fitness and health, my personal competitive aspirations, business, entrepreneurship, and more. I hope that each show can provide one small bit of value for you, the listener. Regardless, I'm glad you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. Here we are. TK Pod did not show up last week because the family got hit with some sickness. If you're watching on the YouTube, which you aren't, because there's only about 6 of you, but if you find this, hey, welcome to the show. The overlay is just simply too big. As is with usually the intro. Good with the intro right now. Actually not annoyed by my own intro, but annoyed with the overlay. We're going to need to fix that for the TK Pod. Nonetheless, not important. Like I said, there was no episode last week because strep. Is it like streptococcus or something? What's the full name? Full name for strep throat. Streptococcal. What a fucking name. Streptococcal pharyngitis. Streptococcus group A bacteria. It got us. I don't know how. I don't know where. But it nailed us. And last Wednesday was really it wasn't so much that I wasn't able to go. You could have put me in the game. I could have podcasted. It was more so the fact that the baby girl was home. So I was coming out of it. It was really about Tuesday was the last day where I really felt like shit. Could have done the podcast, but at that point, the kiddo was home from school. She missed like 3 days of school last week. And I was fighting to get in the real work that I have to do, let alone the TK Pod, which unfortunately for everybody listening here, you guys are the back burner. You're the extra. You're the bonus, the cherry on top of every week. And so if one thing does end up getting cut, it becomes the TK Pod, and that's okay because a lot of these podcasts are me just rambling about the not exciting things that happen in my life week to week, and all of them actually are that. And pretty much every single week, something can wait another 7 days to be said. So, what's happened in the last 2 weeks? Not a ton. It's funny how perceived success, I'm past it, but like from the outside, perceived success of the stuff I do with the walk-ons, the main gig, the main podcast and brand, um, ebbs and flows with the success of the Iowa Hawkeye football team. Um, we, scroll back to a month ago and we lose a game to Indiana and then head into a bye week. And out of that bye week, we play Wisconsin, who's one of the worst teams in college football this year. And the momentum or excitement around those couple weeks, obviously during a bye week, things died down a little bit. We'll see that this week as well, as we have an off week before Oregon on November 8th. But then you go into a game that's just not exciting. There's not a lot on the line. We're not playing an exciting opponent. That opponent isn't, because we get views and downloads from opposing fan bases as well, and they're not into it. They're not bought into consuming content about a team that's playing like shit. And so the YouTube views, the audio downloads, the interest in our social posts, which is essentially the lifeblood of the business, right? The money making component of what we do is the size and engagement of our audience. And if they don't show up, then our platform becomes less valuable to advertisers, which is who pays us money. And so you play this game of week to week. I track all of the metrics on a spreadsheet. I track the weekly downloads, the YouTube downloads and views versus the audio downloads, the how many people tune into our live streams on X and YouTube, all this stuff. And it's funny because that will actually determine all the numbers that we're doing right now will determine this sort of sets the table for next year because we've sold the advertising for this season. Right? We're not picking up any new sponsors. Today is the 29th as I record this and it comes out. October's over. The season essentially goes through the first week of December. There's some hang around in December because the team is still playing and preparing for a bowl game. But there's 2 months left of this football season, and August, September, October, November, December, those 5 months are, that's the heavy time of the year in for our industry, our job. And we're not picking up any new sponsors for those months. We've sold, pretty much the advertising that we planned on selling. We're now looking at Q1 of 2026. And Q1, Q2, every quarter of next year will be sold based upon previous results. So the numbers that we're doing now are the numbers that we will look at, in 6 months when we go to some businesses and we say, hey, do you want to be on for this season, this upcoming football season? Here's what last season looked like. And not only that, but then how did this season compare to last season in 24? Did we grow? What were the big months? What were the hot spots? What worked well? What didn't? That will determine how much we can ask for slash bargain slash um I was gonna say debate, negotiate for in 2026. And so it's a very, very delayed payoff where all the work we're doing right now to get people to come and watch the show is very much so just for next year. It's good and it's bad because we're not capitalizing on the views that we get right now. We've already sold advertising. We did a lot better this season, and I figured we would than what we sold for. So we probably left a decent amount of money on the table for this season, but it will allow us to sell at larger rates for next season. And that's a good thing, right? It's also it's stability. It is staying power in the fact that as long as we get good numbers in a given year, it basically gives you the opportunity to do one more year because advertisers will pay. You will find someone to buy in on those previous year's numbers and believe that you can do it again in the following year. So that you're good for another year, 12 months out. That's a positive. Um It also allows you to strategize and get a little bit nuanced and detailed in what those partnerships and specific relationships can look like, who you want to go after. And it gives you a lead time to sell those companies. Again, the only downside is if you do better than you sold for, you just left a bunch of money on the table. Or the way I look at it is spin that into a positive. You've now over delivered to your advertisers. Um, but yeah, another positive is basically, hey, we can do this for one more year. And this is a fun year because we grew a lot. And so that's all that's going around in my mind right now is we're coming down to the end of the year. How do we, because this has essentially become my full-time gig, how do we continue to pump out great numbers and sell that to advertisers so that advertisers and companies can pay to have us talk about their businesses and their products, which essentially, you know, very lean operation over here. We make right at about six figures of revenue, a little less yearly for the walk-ons. Um, and we come out pretty much even on profit after paying myself, Kevin, and Grant, and then making a donation to the kids' hospital. The walk-ons do not make a profit really. We try to be dead even on the balance sheet. So essentially, it's like the margin there is my money. It's my income. We're in a really good spot, and I think for the first time, I've never personally. This might be not that I don't think this is what I was going to talk about today, but here we are. I've never personally made before taxes $100,000. I'm not rolling in it like that. My wife and I do fine. We actually do really good for the amount of money that we do bring in. I feel like um, live pretty much the exact life that we want to live. But I think there's an opportunity, and this is wild to me. And I know that this is a very small amount of money to some people, especially those who live in more populated areas where the cost of living is higher and so on and so forth. But I think for the first time next year, there's a chance that I individually bring in 100 grand. I make six figures before taxes, which is really exciting. Like to see the growth. This continues to chug along from the outside perspective. Oh, there's just a new podcast or two every week from our brand. They're doing merchandise. They're doing other stuff on the Patreon. And on the inside, it's more of a thing of how long does this thing last? How long are people going to continue to show up and enjoy the product and continue to listen to us? And so that every successful year that we have is another year that's like, wow, we're continuing to actually make this work. So that's all. That is usually what's on my mind. That's kind of the business side of what's going on right now. Otherwise, it's just getting healthy. The fam is now healthy. Amoxicillin is an amazing thing. 3 out of 4 of us were on it, and baby boy somehow stayed clear. He now is probably in the worst shape. Not that it's horrible, but now he's got like the runny nose. Uh, you know, rolling around in his own snot every morning when we go in to get him out of the crib. And that's just kind of the time of year that we're in. And when you have small children, or I guess children at all, those are just added opportunities for more germs and to bring sickness into the home. So that's where we're at in our life. But life is good. Life is really good. As far as the other stuff goes, training is going well. I just pulled up this before this podcast because it's coming up. A lot of the qualifiers haven't going on. Fittest of the Coast leaderboard closes tomorrow. Their 4 weeks of qualifying is done tomorrow. Obviously TFX was about a month ago. I finished up and kind of tested all those workouts. I've tested several of the Wodapalooza and Fittest of the Coast individual workouts. And the teams of 3 qualifier is coming up. Wow, it's actually really close. It looks like 2 weeks from tomorrow. So the 8th is a Saturday, 9, Sunday, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So 2 weeks from tomorrow opens up the first week of the Team Wodapalooza qualifier. I have 2 weeks. So I hope I'm fit. We've been training. We feel good. Volume has increased. I would say weekly volume has gone from, 6 hours a week up to, mm, we're probably looking at 10. We're back up to 10 hours a week at least of training. Doing a lot more double days. Started off the week, the last 2 days actually. I did is that correct? I have no fucking idea. Yeah, the last 2 days I've done double days. And a double day now isn't so much like a full 90-minute session in the morning, 90-minute session in the afternoon. I'm trying to go out and in 45 minutes get in one piece if I can in the morning or save it for the afternoon and then, maybe go 90 minutes to 2 hours on the other side of things. It's whatever works and whatever feels the best. And we're just working off of that. And I've felt a lot better. We're strong. Strength numbers are still good. Conditioning is getting better. Volume is starting to pick up on things that it needs to be. I'm nowhere near the place I'd like to be to actually try and do this Team Wadapalooza qualifier at full strength. It is what it is, and my two partners are gonna get the scores that they get. Again, I'm not. This is not something that I was planning on or really putting a lot of chips into. But in 2 weeks from tomorrow, Thursday, November 13th, the 10-day qualifier will start. And I imagine the way it worked last year was there was like 4 total workouts that each individual had to do. And so there will probably be 2 the first week and 2 the second week. I'll basically have a 4 or 5-day window to submit the first couple scores, and then it'll come around and I'll have actually it might just be 10 days to submit 4 scores. I think that's how it works. So, we'll see. I'm in shape enough to do 4 hard qualifier workouts, especially considering one's probably gonna be a lifting or a skill type deal. But the scores are not gonna be crazy good. Just is what it is. Still running. Um, During that week of sickness, I basically took a full week or 8 days off. Uh, but started off Monday of this week with I did like 8 by 400-meter repeats on 90 seconds rest the other day. Felt somewhat decent about that. I did a single kind of piece in the morning yesterday that included a mile of pretty hard running, along with a bunch of handstand push-ups and chest to bar pull-ups. So the running actually feels good. We haven't lost a whole lot there. We still haven't done our, of course, week 10, the literal day I'm supposed to test my mile run is the day that I test positive for strep and could barely swallow and felt like I was in another dimension. So that threw a whole wrench in things. I haven't started that ChatGPT 10-week running program quite yet. I'm just kind of going off flow. So I did the 400-meter workout on Monday. I plan on doing a longer zone 2 run tomorrow. And then I don't know, maybe giving it a go next week sometime. Um, with the whole wrench being thrown into things and having to take a full week off, I don't know where I'm gonna stand or run that thing, but, you know, I think I'm capable of running somewhere in the low sixes, 6 minutes to 6:10 range. Who knows? Maybe I surprise myself and go sub 6. Um, but again, that's just gonna be sort of a mid marker of, "Hey, here's what I was able to do in 10 weeks," and then I'm gonna hammer down even more and continue to run until I get that to a spot where I feel really good about a PR mile. And then it'll just go into maintenance and we'll talk about what that looks like. But um yeah, so 2 weeks from now, we're gonna be starting the Wadapalooza team qualifier. Disc golf wise, I have had very little motivation. Plus the weather's been shitty. So I just haven't played a lot of disc golf. And life is chugging along. That's all we got. I'm gonna go do a little exercise snack 20-minute walk on the treadmill before I record a podcast for the walk ons. And we will talk to you guys next week. See you then.